It is so hot outside. Go to Parks Casino this weekend. You want to get out of the heat? Go to Park. Is it going to break this weekend?
After the weekend.
After the weekend
is awful.
Right. Like
awful.
Like 98 on Sunday?
Yeah, exactly. Both days.
And then what about next week?
I'll look.
Parks Casino.
That's where to stay. That's where to stay. That's the answer.
Ooh.
I know.
Summer happy hour at the Liberty Bell Beer Garden with seating inside and outside. You'll want to be sitting inside this weekend at Parks Casino. Live entertainment tonight at the 360 Lounge. That's a great deal. That is a great bargain. It's the same room where I have attended those Joe Conklin every other Thursday comedy nights where the best of the New York comedians come in. I think Joe Bartnick was just there. Maybe it was last night. It's just a terrific, terrific deal. Dine at one of the award-winning restaurants, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, the Liberty Bell Gastropub, delicious sushi hand rolls at the Bamboo Noodle House. And then in addition to the air conditioning and all the live entertainment in terms of the 360 Lounge and the great food, well, of course, there are 3,200 state-of-the-art slot machines, 115 live table games. It is my casino of choice, Parks Casino. All roads lead to Parks Casino. Headliners coming to the 1,500-seat Excite Center. Tiffany Haddish, September 27. Debbie Gibson on July 19. Here's my fave of this lineup. JB Smoove, September 20. Love JB Smoove, Leon in Curb Your Enthusiasm. The a cappella sounds of Straight No Chaser, that's October 18. It's all going on at Parks Casino. Go there. You've heard me talk about it. Maybe you've never been. Make this weekend the weekend that you go to Parks Casino. You've got to be 21. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino. This is how you win. TGIF, everybody, headlines from the Friday edition of the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. How about this? McDonald's. I'm a proud alumnus of McDonald's, unveiling a new $5 meal deal coming this summer as the franchise focuses on value. Starting June 25th, customers can buy the $5 meal deal for a limited time at participating restaurants. It's the latest effort to give fans a meal for less after all that backlash. Remember the Big Mac meal? Was that the one?
Was it true? Wasn't there some
I don't know.
falsehood?
I went and bought one and I filmed
falsehoods.
the whole thing, and I paid less than people were complaining about. But this is a hell of a deal.
So here's what you get. This is important. Go ahead.
The meal deal for $5 includes, it's almost too good. Like, you don't want families to be going there constantly. I love McDonald's. I love, Burger King. I love Taco Bell. Hello. But you don't want to be going there all the time.
Wait, what would you say your favorite fast food place is?
You've got to be more specific. Like, what meal am
Lunch.
Lunch. I mean, I love to go to Taco Bell, and I love to get the crispy taco,
So you
the
think
taco
Taco
grandes.
Bell is your favorite fast food?
I think those tacos are probably my favorite fast food. And then I would like a combo between, I'd like McDonald's French fries.
Yes.
I just swallowed. I could definitely down a Big Mac right now. I could have a Big Mac meal and be a happy camper. But I like the Whopper.
Okay, well, now
I like the Whopper.
Tell people what you're getting for $5.
Right. So, and I had to do a little research on this.
Meal
I want
deal.
you to know I've been working hard trying to understand the McDouble or McChicken. You can have either a McDouble or a McChicken, 4-piece chicken McNuggets, small fries, and a small soft drink. If you're a McDonald's app user, you can also get free medium fries with a $1 minimum purchase of free fries on Friday.
I feel like small fries are not enough.
I watched a video to understand what's the difference between a McDouble and just a double cheeseburger.
What is it?
I watched the video.
Is it smaller?
I still don't know.
Oh.
I still don't know. That's what I was over here doing before we began.
I wondered what you were doing. I heard the music playing. I was like, what is he over there doing?
Yeah.
What is a McDouble? A McDouble?
It's 2 patties. It's 2 patties and it's cheese. I think maybe it's not the pickles.
Oh, there's
Go ahead,
only
tell
one.
Me.
It's a variation of the double cheeseburger. There's
Right.
only one slice of cheese placed between the 2 beef patties.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't want 2 patties. I don't want 2 patties. I want 1 patty.
Wait, I thought you wanted more meat, less cheese. You want less cheese, less cheese, less meat?
No, I like McDonald's cheeseburgers. But
So
I don't want a double cheeseburger.
Not a double cheeseburger.
Right.
Do you want a McDouble?
No, I'm happy with just a single cheeseburger.
So you're getting a McChicken?
Unless I'm getting a Big Mac, which is 2 patties.
Okay.
So
You're confused. Okay.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
So in the meal deal, are you getting a McChicken or a McDouble?
McDouble. But I might be removing one of the patties.
Gosh.
Because it's not a Big Mac. If it's a Big Mac, I'll eat both patties.
Oh boy.
I have very defined.
I'm hearing you.
Yesterday, poll results 28,171 votes. You really didn't like Lanny Davis's proposal, did you? Lanny Davis proposes that both Hunter Biden and Donald Trump be pardoned and any sentences commuted. Lanny's going to be my guest on CNN tomorrow. I had so much fun with him yesterday. I want to make sure that I do this on television tomorrow. 83.8% disagreed with Lanny. Lanny said, let's put this chapter behind us. And the 83%, as represented in the calls, I think largely are people who just do not want Donald Trump let off the hook. If I had a question of whether Hunter should be pardoned just for the gun charge, not for the taxes yet to come, I think that margin might be like 83% agreeing. But when you throw Trump into the mix, people are like, nope. What? And I asked the question yesterday, what if Trump loses the election? Do you still want to go through 3 more trials for Donald Trump? I mean, to what end? To what end? But then, if you agree with me, you're kind of acknowledging that this is political. And I maintain that if Hunter Biden's name weren't Hunter Biden and the facts were the same, he wouldn't be in the predicament that he is now. And I agree with Fareed Zakaria. I love wrapping myself in Fareed every time I make this point, that if his name weren't Donald Trump, he wouldn't have been prosecuted in New York by Alvin Bragg. I believe that. I believe that. So Lanny Davis tomorrow with me on CNN. By the way, what I didn't mention, what do you have going with TC After Dark?
Oh, I have a whole thing on the heat. Why is it so darn hot? I explain why it's hot.
Heat dome?
Right, the heat dome, and it's all like El Nino. Like there's a whole explanation about why it is specifically hot right this very second. And also talking about a better way to measure heat than just the temperature. You have to take into account the temperature, the humidity, the sunlight, and the lack of movement of the air. And that is all going on right now, and it is why it is so stifling outside. I mean, it's really unbelievable this week. It's crazy.
I played 9 holes of golf with a friend yesterday, beginning at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. It was still 92 degrees.
It was. I know you told me that in advance. When I told you yesterday what time my tee time was, you said to me, that's the wrong time of day to do it. It was actually just fine.
I'm so glad.
I was prepared to be soaking wet at the end, and that would have been fine. But it was actually quite reasonable.
I am floored by that.
I know.
That's wonderful.
It was so much more comfortable than I anticipated.
I think it's been okay if you sit outside. I was concerned. Were you walking or were you on
cart?
Okay, well that helps a little bit.
Yeah,
okay,
I was not going to push it that much.
Okay,
that would have been nutty.
That makes me feel better.
That would have been nutty.
Good.
So I love today's poll question at Smerconish.com. This is really great. We've been talking about it. Next Thursday night, of course, the first debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and we've been talking about it and what we expect and anticipate and the expectations and so forth. Is there any correlation between a candidate's debate skills and ability to effectively govern? Like, what relevance is there between the two? Can you be a terrible debater and yet a great commander-in-chief? And with the assistance of an intern, went looking for, things that have been written by historians on this. And by and large, the historians say there's just not a connection. Whether it's H.W. Brands, whether it's John Meacham, there are a whole slew of them that we looked at and that I've shared that which they have written, and they've said no, that if you're going by debate skills alone, that's not necessarily going to give you your most effective president. And on the debate front, it's formal now. We knew this was going to be the case, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has failed to make the CNN debate stage, and his fundraising has slowed as well. The BBC coverage. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not be invited to this year's first U.S. presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. CNN, which is hosting the debate, said on Thursday that no other candidates met the requirements to join the 2 major party contenders on stage. The campaign says that it has collected enough petition signatures to get on the ballot in 23 states, totaling 310 electoral votes. However, the campaign acknowledges that only 9 states, totaling 144 electoral votes, have actually confirmed that Bobby will be on the ballot. The Kennedy campaign has lodged a complaint with the FEC, arguing that Biden and Trump have not been nominated by their respective parties and thus are not officially on any of the ballots themselves. The campaign has accused CNN of failing to apply objective criteria. We don't have it linked today in the newsletter, but on that same score, John Fund writing in the Wall Street Journal today about that issue and essentially says the fix was in and that's the reason CNN was able to get Biden and Trump to agree. I always suspected that the reason that deal was able to come together so quickly, because remember, it was like 1 minute the Commission on Presidential Debates was out, and the next minute CNN and ABC were in. And I said at the time, I'm sure that the unity of purpose between Biden and Trump was no Bobby. They didn't want Bobby Kennedy on that because they just really don't know from whom he pulls more. And I think it's based on the states.
Hey, something they agree on. How about that?
That is one thing. They don't want to deal with Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay, one other debate-related story that I have to point out. This comes from the Philadelphia Citizen. This is really interesting, and we will get former Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter on the program next week to talk about this. He published in the Philadelphia Citizen an open letter to Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, and is fans of both of them. And he talks about how during last year's Philadelphia mayoral race, he's the former mayor of Philadelphia, he posed tough questions of the candidates at what he was then describing as the ultimate job interview, a public series that was hosted by the Philadelphia Citizen. So, for example, he would ask questions, very specific things like, had they read the city charter, which is like the Constitution that governs the way in which Philadelphia is governed. And so his point is that there are very specific questions that he thinks they ought to be asking of the candidates. This is kind of fun. We'll play along here.
It's really fun. And the best part about it, what is the best part about this? For
the
me?
answer key?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So from the U.S. citizenship test, Mayor Nutter proposes that Trump and Biden be asked, what are the first 3 words of the Constitution establishing the idea of self-government? How do they inform decisions you'd make as president and leader of the free world? Or how many rights are declared in the First Amendment? What are they? And what does the amendment with which the framers chose to open our founding document mean to you? Or what are the rights declared in the Declaration of Independence? Name 2 authors of the Federalist Papers. What do the phrase checks and balances mean? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you think they'd fare if there were that level of specificity?
Poorly.
I had a gentleman from the Associated Press reach out for me to question me about the debate. Okay. And Dave Bauder is his name, and I may or may not show up in his coverage, but I shared with him what I've shared with the audience about the expectation game and how I think that Trump and mostly Fox News have set this very low bar for Biden. So I hit him with that, and he seemed interested. But what he really wanted to ask me was, how do you think Jake Tapper and Dana Bash will do? I said, I think they'll do just fine.
That is absolutely the right answer.
Right. Well, what do they need to do? Follow. And I'm like, hey, I'm the Saturday guy. Like, come on, don't get me in this.
Oh, hopefully he'll quote you on that because that's a great quote.
So, yeah, I think they have a tall order, and I did make this point. No matter what happens next Friday, a week from today, Trump will be saying it was 3-on-1.
It was 3-on-1.
He's going to say that already.
They're practically already saying it.
Yeah, so, I totally agree.
It'll be the ultimate Rorschach test, but they will do fine.
More headlines from the Friday edition of the newsletter. There's a great Scott Stantis cartoon that pertains to Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General of the United States, saying earlier this week that we need a warning for social media use that's akin to smoking or seatbelts or harmful food. You'll enjoy that. Check that out. And paired today in the newsletter with a story from the Wall Street Journal that is troublesome. Here's the way that it begins. Instagram regularly recommends sexual videos to accounts for teenagers that appear interested in racy content and does so within minutes of when they first log in According to tests by the Wall Street Journal and an academic researcher, the tests run over 7 months, ending in June, show that the social media service has continued pushing adult-oriented content to minors after parent Meta said in January it was giving teens a more age-appropriate experience by restricting what it calls sensitive content. Separate testing by the Journal and Laura Edelson, a computer science professor at Northeastern, used similar methodology involving setting up new accounts with ages listed at 13. The accounts then watched Instagram's curated video stream known as Reels. Instagram served a mix of videos that from the start included moderately racy content such as women dancing seductively or posing in positions that emphasize their breasts. When the accounts skipped past other clips but watched those racy videos to completion, Reels recommended edgier content. So there they go. The algorithms have your number, okay? As I've said repeatedly, in the same way, if you go looking for a product and now you're bombarded with ads because they know what you're interested in, so too, according to the Wall Street Journal, Instagram with regard to their racy content. And TC, TikTok now making, people have forgotten about this, right? I mean, the law.
Boy, a lot of social media news.
Yeah, always. And you know, the Congress with Biden's signature have said TikTok's going to get banned unless the Chinese sell their stake in it. I said at the time there's going to be a First Amendment challenge to this, and I think TikTok will be successful.
And you were right.
Well, I'm right at least that there's a challenge.
Correct.
TikTok says that the government didn't adequately consider viable alternative options before charging ahead with a law that could ban the platform in the U.S. TikTok, whose parent company ByteDance is based in China, claims that it provided the U.S. government with an extensive and detailed plan to mitigate national security risks and that this plan was largely ignored when Congress passed the law, yada, yada, yada. I take note of the fact that though President Biden has taken action through his pen to ban TikTok unless the Chinese sell their interest, the Biden campaign is still on TikTok.
Yeah.
So go figure. I mean, if you want to reach the youngins, this is how you've got to do it. All right. How about this for social media related story number 3 in a row? Do you remember Meatball?
Meatball from Philly.
Meatball from Philly. Hashtag free meatball is what the internet demanded, and meatball shall remain free.
Oh, boy.
Deja Blackwell, a local social media star known as Meatball, who gained internet fame for being arrested mid-live stream last fall while filming a night of looting, took a plea deal yesterday that will keep her out of jail. She's going to serve 5 years of probation. This is a 22-year-old with a big Instagram following. It has quintupled since her arrest and is now approaching 1 million. She is also running a clothing line. Blackwell of North Philadelphia already had a huge online following for posting humorous and outrageous monologues on such platforms as Instagram and TikTok. She gained wider fame following a judge's decision last year to drop all charges against a Philadelphia police officer who had faced criminal prosecution after fatally shooting a driver during a car stop. What you'll remember is that she started out in Center City, that's our downtown area, followed crowds in an associate's vehicle, narrated the whole chaotic night, and appeared to goad friends to find more sites of criminal activity. Quote, okay, where are we going next? Where are we going next? She asked her audience after filming a crowd that fled the Apple store on Walnut Street with arms full of iPhones and iPad display models. But along with tens of thousands of viewers, law enforcement officials had also noticed her antics and were tracing her movement around the city. The delirious night came to an end, at least for Blackwell, when her live stream was interrupted by the flashing lights of a Philadelphia police squad car. Authorities allege that she participated in and even helped encourage acts of crime that night. She was charged with 6 felonies and 2 misdemeanors, including burglary, conspiracy, riot, and criminal use of a communication facility. But in the end, she'll do no time.
Instagram, 964,000 Instagram followers. 964,000.
Yeah. I think she got off too light. That's what I think. 5 years probation, 150 hours of community service. And a $10,000 fine. We spoke yesterday to Brian Stelter about what's going on at the Washington Post. That was a great conversation. You know, there's a lot of tumult at the Post because 2 Brits, what was the word? Blagging.
Blagging.
Right.
I then looked it up.
Right. Blagging. I've heard and have used the word, bogarting, like bullshitting your way into a circumstance. But blagging is when the Brits on Fleet Street. Go ahead.
The action of obtaining something by using persuasion or guile. Blagging.
Right.
To blag.
Right. So more to come on that. I don't know. I don't know if the publisher and whatever the proper role would be, is it managing editor? I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. And the new guy, the second guy, has yet to come aboard. Justin Timberlake sold off a 127-acre property in Tennessee for $2 million less than the original asking price.
By the way, that's the kind of thing, that headline to me is such an example of what happens when something else happens. So if he had not been arrested for drunk driving, that would have been a non-story.
Right.
People sell things for more or less.
Course.
They put it on the market
Of
for
course.
$20 million more than it was worth. Like, that is no big deal. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe he was drinking because he lost so much money. Like, there's some sort of like correlation or some sort of association, whereas we never would be looking at it except for the fact that,
Here's what I want to know. Is he selling more tickets as a result of his arrest?
Wouldn't you say yes?
I would say yes.
I would say yes.
I saw that tickets were sluggish for some of the upcoming shows, and I have to believe that all the publicity.
I'm going with absolutely yes.
I would think so as well.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the week comes to a close, may I say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Appreciate you. If you've never watched on YouTube before, join me tomorrow morning at 7:30. It's 8 a.m. Monday through Friday that you can see TC and me discussing the headlines of the day. On Saturdays, because I have to do a CNN rehearsal at 8 a.m., I'm on YouTube Live at 7:30. So would love to have you join me at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Watch the CNN show, listen to TC After Dark, and make sure you're voting on today's poll question. See ya. Have a good weekend.